Hello, I'm Hannah, and this is Hannah's Books. Welcome to a very special kind of wrap-up. Not the usual bookish kind. In fact, let me start this video again. Hello, I'm Hannah, and this is Hannah's Scarves. Today I'm going to show you a few of the ways I wrap my hair, or my almost bald head, depending on the day. Several of you have asked me how I do it, and how much time it takes. Really, it doesn't take more time than I used to spend putting my hair in a quick bun or ponytail. I'm sure I will be slower here today since I'm going to try to talk you through the process. But this is not a detailed tutorial or anything. Usually I use wrapping styles that are quite plain and simple, sometimes with plain scarves and sometimes with fancier ones that sometimes give the illusion that the wrapping itself is more elaborate than it actually is. Today I'll show you the two styles I wear most frequently, tails down on one side and no tails. Depending on how this goes, I might show you what one of those styles looks like with both a plain and a much fancier scarf. Then, if I can actually do it on camera rather than in front of my bathroom mirror, I'll try to show you a slightly more elaborate wrapping style, perfect for holiday celebrations, using two scarves. I should say up front that these demonstrations are mostly for people who are curious about what I wear in my videos, not detailed tutorials for how to wrap. If you're seriously interested in wrapping, I highly recommend the Wrapunzel YouTube channel, which I'll link to below down in the description box. Those videos, especially the ones aimed at beginners, will give you a lot of tips and tricks that you'll find helpful. But here goes with my little demonstration. To start with, I have a little cotton cap on, which helps keep the scarf from sliding off. There are lots of ways to stabilize a scarf. If you're planning to wrap a lot, you'll definitely want to invest in a velvet headband or a wig grip or something like that. But if you just want to try out a scarf once or twice, you could use a stretchy headband underneath or clip the scarf to your hair, or even, believe it or not, put a pair of pantyhose on your head. First, I'll show you how I wrap what is pretty much my everyday style with tails over one shoulder. First, arrange the scarf so basically 1/3 of the length falls on one side of your head and the 2/3 on the other. And cover up your hairline or leave hair showing. So you want 1/3 on one side and 2/3 on the other. So then you cross the ends behind your head. Some people tie the ends together, but I don't find it necessary. Take the long end, which as I'm filming I made a little too long, and wrap it over your head so it joins the shorter end. Tie the two ends together. Voila! I like mine scooted back just slightly, and I like my ears sticking out, but some people totally cover their ears, some people go a little lower, some people go a little higher. If you prefer a wrap without tails hanging down, I find it easiest to position the unwrapped scarf symmetrically, with half on one side and half on the other, so they're the same length. Again, you would cross in the back. You can tie if you want, and then take one side over, and then the other side over, and tuck in the ends of the scarf into whatever pockets you find between the layers. This is quicker and easier if you're in front of a mirror. Some people who use this style frequently or who are a little more dressy than I am like to use a pin or something like that on the scarf. Let's go back to the tail down style for a second, but try using a more elaborate scarf. This one is made up of stripes of different sari silk fabric, sewn together from scraps that might have been discarded otherwise. If I tie it in a basic tails down wrap with the 1/3, 2/3, it gives the illusion that I've used more scarves than I have. Well, you can also wrap either of these styles with 2 scarves. Let me show you a pretty fancy wrap from me using 2 scarves in the tail down style, and then with a twist. First, I'll start with a very glittery scarf with these long fringes. And I want this again in the 1/3 on this side and 2/3 on this side, and then I'll cross it in the back. And then here is another scarf made with sari strips, but this one isn't sewn down smoothly, but instead it's layered. So it looks even more like there are multiple scarves. Put it on in the same way you did the first scarf, but place just a bit behind the hairline of the first scarf. And again with the 1/3, 2/3. And cross it behind. Now here you could take each long side and just wrap it over, continuing in sequence, going back further each time. Does that make sense? And then tie. But I'm going to do something slightly different. I'm going to take the 2 long ends and twist them together fairly loosely. And then wrap that over and then tie. You can also use a ponytail holder or something like that. You can either tie both of the 2 scarves together, which is the easiest, or you can tie each one together separately, so the gold together and the sari together, which I think makes a slightly smoother knot. Rather than one large knot, you get a couple of knots next to each other, and it's a little more secure. Okay, before I finish, let me say that my favorite source for everything head wrapping is Wrapunzel with a W. They have a great tutorial site on YouTube, as I mentioned before, and they also have an online store where they sell relatively inexpensive scarves, including these, although of course you can wrap with scarves you find at the thrift store or wherever as well. Many of my scarves are from the thrift store. And they also sell tools like velvet headbands and caps to prevent slipping. Wrapunzel also supports a fabulous discussion group on Facebook, which is free to join, where people talk not only about Wrapunzel scarves per se, but about how and why group members choose to wrap their hair. There are many observant Jewish women, but also completely secular women, Muslim women, Catholics, Mormons, Orthodox Christians, cancer survivors, which I later became, and feminists who embrace so-called modesty as a form of resistance to the commodification of women's bodies. This online community, which is restricted to people who define themselves as women or as feminine, consists of people from all over the globe. And really, it's another one of those places, kind of like BookTube, where I've gotten to know people from all over the world. And unlike YouTube, they often have radically different perspectives on that world than I do. This is absolutely not a sponsored video, although I have bought many a scarf from Wrapunzel. Well, thank you for joining me for this silliness today. See you soon when I promise to be back with more discussion of what I've been reading and writing and all the literary things I've been thinking about here on Hannah's Books.